so golden. What you got, you're the golden child. I see forever between you and me, forever between us.
Welcome back to the Blk in Real Life podcast. It's your girl, Anuli, here with a new episode. I hope you have been enjoying the season so far. Each season of the Blk in Real Life podcast has allowed me to share different aspects of my dissertation research with you all. When I started my PhD journey, my focus was primarily on the world of social media influencing. As my interests evolve, so has my project. While I still study influencers and content creators, I don't solely focus on that industry. My interests around labor have expanded to think about creative contract workers at large, which include social media influencers and creators, but also various forms of artists, writers, and more. When you think about it, contract work is everywhere, always has been. At least, that is what you will come to see when I wrap up my dissertation project. This is one of the reasons that I have been interviewing artists this season. I'm so interested in how they think, and to me, the creative process is just as interesting as the creative product. These conversations, along with the separate conversations I have been facilitating for my anthropological fieldwork, have affirmed me so much as a multimedia artist in my own right. This episode's featured guest is Autumn Nelson. Autumn Nelson is a visual artist who lives and works in Atlanta, Georgia. She holds a BFA in painting from the Savannah College of Art and Design and has exhibited her work in group shows in the Southeast United States. Her work tackles the concept of sologamy, or dating oneself, to explore the literal physical manifestation of self-love. In this episode of the Blk in Real Life podcast, Autumn and I talk about asserting sexual agency through art, dating yourself to find yourself, and how the consumer of an art piece impacts its meaning and interpretation. As always, at the end of each interview, I will come back to share a few key takeaways that stood out to me from the conversation. These takeaways will be supplemented with research from both academic and non-academic sources to add further context to the subjects that were brought up in the interview portion. For every episode, I will include citations to the reference materials I mentioned, as well as some additional background reading for you on the Blk in Real Life website. Visit www.blkirl.com to nerd out. We met late last year at your studio when I was visiting Ment for the first time for another artist talk, and I just stumbled into your studio, and you were so very kind to me, and you were walking me through your work at the time. But now this is like our first one-on-one. We've met after that when I went to your actual show, and we'll talk about that exhibit today. So I wanted to use this conversation to start by getting to know a bit about you, and then we'll get into your work and your process. So to start, where do you call home?
Even though I was born and semi-raised in Florida, I call North Carolina home because I've spent close to probably 15 years of my life growing up there. I moved away when I was 17 and I moved there when I was 7. Or I guess that is 14 years of my life. It was a long, and I was from 3rd grade to senior year was my whole lifespan in that very Caucasian town. But it's a very artsy town, and Asheville, North Carolina is, I consider, my home base. My parents still live there. It's where I went to school. All my real good memories are there.
Did you move straight from Asheville to Atlanta?
Yeah, I knew I was going to go to art school junior to senior year. was junior year, and then senior year is when I kind of confirmed it because I worked my butt off in my AP class. And then I got into like 4 or 5 schools across the country. And I was real set on going to California, but your girl graduated at 17, and my Black mom did not play those kind of games. So she said, "You're going to take your butt down to Atlanta. It's only 3 hours away. I don't care if you got a full scholarship, no matter where you're going to go. To any other city, to any other college, I will pay full tuition to know that you are 3 hours away and you're safe." And I moved to Atlanta when I was 17. I want to say like 2 weeks before my 18th birthday. And it was very interesting. I went from being in a very strict household to wilding because I had my own apartment with a roommate in the middle of Midtown before Midtown was so expensive.
What school did you go to?
SCAD.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, and so it was like right beside SCAD. I remember just being like, I felt like I was like in the big city, which I definitely was. And it was definitely a little shell shock because I'm so used to like, just like even now, like, I've kind of like learned the city girl ways, but like even now, like when I first saw you, you're so beautiful. And like, I was like, oh my gosh. And like, I've learned now that like, you can't just like stare at people when you like when you like are like in awe of their beauty, like, or stuff like that. Cause like I still catch myself having to do that. I still catch myself doing that, and I get the most meanest looks, and I'm like, okay, my bad. I forgot that. Because like in Asheville, like you can just like wear whatever you wear, and like you have like someone come up to you and they'll be like, "You look so great today." But I've learned in Atlanta, depending on who you say that to, it does not go over well. So
really,
it's been. Mm-hmm.
I've always found Atlanta to be like people coming up and saying those things, or saying, like very complimentary and tight knit. Yeah. If your experience, has that been from like people that grew up here or people that moved here from other places?
That's a fair question. Like I remember I told this one lady at the mall, and she was just very curt, and she was just like, "Thank you," and I'm like, "Okay, well, I mean, all right, well." I just wanted to say that, and like, but you're right. I have had some people who have been like, "Thanks, girl, I needed that," and I'm like, "You're welcome. I hope I like did that for you." But yeah, but that is fair. But I feel like when I first moved here, and it may have just been for me at that time, I was just used to a way like more receptive version of positivity. And like now I feel like I've kind of become accustomed to how we accept compliments. But yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense totally. And you moved here for art school, which means you've been interested in art for quite some time. Were you always like an artistic person, an artistic kid?
Yes, my aunt Lisa would be the person to tell you. When I was a little girl, I used to want to be like a fashion designer. And I had that dream for like a long time.
Okay,
But I
True
just
Jackson.
felt, oh, that was the show. That was the show. But at the same time, I remember being very practical as a kid. Now it's just like this is going to be a really hard like career to break into, and like I don't know if I really want the stress. And now I'm a freaking painter, so it is what it is now. But I kind of still feel that way. The fashion kids at SCAD just always seemed like they were going through it, and like, but I had like this like sketchbook of like all these designs that like I would do. And my aunt still has them. And when I go to her house, like she'll pull them out sometimes. And then in elementary school, like I was always a pretty decent artist. I had one person, her name was Yana, and me and her are still friends. She kept me very humbled because she was way better than me. And like I was probably like if I was like I probably like a little B list, and like when it comes to like our little skills, and Yana was like a top A. And so it kept me very humble because I'm just like, okay, this is someone, and like, we never really in competition, but it definitely kept me in my little place of me being like, okay, you're good, but there's someone better than you. And like, which I feel like I needed. Because when I went to middle school, I just, for some overnight, I don't know what it was. I think I just started using photo references. Your girl just got real good. Like she used to draw like every other day, which was strengthening my skills. RIP to that girl because I miss her. I don't draw like that anymore. But yeah, and I used to get I was a little like kind of had my little like hot girl energy going on because I like my ego was starting to get a little big, but I would always remember her and be like, you know what? I wonder what she's drawing right now. Because if I'm doing this, there's
Mm-hmm.
probably a good chance that she's kicking my butt somewhere else in a different school. But I remember I had a teacher in middle school who did not like me at all. I don't know if it's because I was a really good artist and I didn't take it that seriously or what, but yeah. And then when I was in high school, my high school teacher, I'm still best friends with her. Shout out to Miss Brighton. Love her 100%. Um, that's when everything just kind of clicked for me all together. Like I took her class. She's the reason I actually am a figure model because I modeled for her class. Like she had everyone in the class model during our intro class, just so that way like we were all able to like one try it and then two we're all able to draw someone without like someone just missing a part, someone without someone having to sit out and miss a part of the like demonstration.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when I went up there, she was just like, holy shit, you're actually not bad in this. And then like she was like, do you want to like, and then she had me like finish out. And then there'd be some days where like I would just eat in the art room because that was kind of my little second home. And she'd be like, hey, do you mind modeling for this class? Because like, you're one of the best people I know. And then when I got older, like she was just like, hey, it's very obvious that you're comfortable in your nudity because a lot of your pieces are you just naked.
Oh,
I
you
was
were
a
even
little,
drawing like
oh yeah.
yourself back then.
Oh yeah, we were out. Titties were out. Everything. She used to have to tell me to
Wow.
tone it down. And she's like, it's very comfy, very obvious to come up with yourself naked. When you turn 18, you should look into it. It's pretty good money, and like you're really good at it. And I thought exactly what I did. And I've been a model for 4 or 5 years. But yeah, I remember when I was younger, and like she used to always she always was very encouraging of it. She never really like told me no. But there's a few pieces that I have to find in my laptop and email it to you that like she definitely was like, I need you to cover up your nipple. I don't care about the boob, but I need
Mm.
you. I didn't understand why, but I was 16 creating these nude self-portraits. I'm just like basically art version of of children pornography. Like, I'm not on that Sally Man level where it's questionable. I was just out here. My senior thesis project, I did like a nude self portrait, and I remember like me working on it, and like anytime admin came in, I had to like hide it in one of the back rooms. Like no one knew I was
Mm.
doing it, and yeah, and then what did I do? I also kind of got some of my more like I don't want to say activism, but a lot more of my little spicy mentality when it came to subject matter.
Mhm.
I feel like I was always pushing boundaries, which may not have been the best thing, but I was, and she was very encouraging of it. Like I remember, I think one of the last pieces I did in her class was it was about like what if like traditional cis men got periods, like those like super jockey men who don't
Mhm.
really who are slightly to truly misogynist misogynistic. And I just did this painting of like a guy standing like a field of cactuses like on his period, and like it says don't be a pussy, and I was gonna say don't be a bitch, and my teacher was like you should put pussy because pussy's a double entendre, and I'm like
Mhm.
I like how you think. And then I also did a piece about abortions because I
This
was
was in
like
high school.
uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was reading at for some reason, YouTube algorithm always is wild, and I found this video about all these women. They're mostly white. And they were talking about and they were probably close to like our grandparents' age, if not a little bit younger. And they were talking about like how some of them had been assaulted, some of them had just realized they were too young and weren't able to have these children. And like just talking about like the things that they went through to do these back alley abortions.
Mm.
And like there's one woman I'll never forget. Like she got pregnant for like a one night stand and she knew that she couldn't keep the baby. And she went to this like back alley. Okay, trigger warning. She went to this back alley abortion clinic, and the guy he did the procedure on her and then he raped her immediately afterwards.
Oh wow, that's terrible.
I know. So like, and it was just one lady was saying how like her dad was a doctor and he drove like 6 hours across country to one of his colleagues' house to like perform the surgery on her, perform the abortion, and they never talked about it until the day he died. And I was just talking, and it really made me, before we lost our rights, which is crazy. I would never thought we would see that in our lifetime. But it made me realize like how lucky we were to be able to have this option. And I wanted to create a piece that really didn't take a quite political stance of it. I wanted to so I did a piece where I decided to do a still life of like I was doing all this research of like what like people have used over time to like do it. And then and like I know the coat hanger is one of them, and like the different like solvents and stuff like that people have taken. And so like I did this still life, and like I even asked my doctor, because I asked her about like I had a like a meet like a appointment with her, and I was asking her about different things, and she was telling me about different things. And like I found out she used to do them for like 15, 20 years. And she was like, all these stories I can tell you, like a lot of these women, they never really want to see me. Like they weren't, like they were, this was not their first or like ideal situation. Like a lot of them, I could tell that like they never thought this would ever happen to them. And so when I did that piece, I decided that the still life was like, I remember doing like coat hanger, like bloody gloves and like various jars, and like I just kind of wanted to show it without really any real bias to it, like this like messy, sad option that is here, but like it's a necessary option, and it's kind of like show it as it was. And I feel like it was pretty well received. It was a very interesting piece. I did it in color pencil, and like I was really rough with how I painted it, and I definitely drew it, and I really was very cautious of being biased in either way. I'm very pro-choice, but at the same time, I didn't want someone who was like quote unquote pro-life to look at that and be like, oh, this is just some kind of like left-wing perspective. I wanted someone to be able to look at it and be like, damn, that is really like how that like works. Like that truly is like it's a thing that happens, and that's truly like the messiness and what it is behind it. But yeah, my mom is not she was never really the biggest fan of my artwork growing up, and that was not a piece that she really liked. I also did a piece where I put babies in meat packages. That was a whole thing.
How do you come up with these subjects for your piece? Like, what are you inspired by?
Back in the day, I just had random ideas, and I had a really good friend. I had a really good friend group, and we were all very creative. And I used to just like, I think ideas would just kind of hit me, and they still do, but they would just kind of hit me, and then I would just explore those topics more and like do more research, kind of figure out how I wanted to do them, and do my little rough sketches. And then now I work under like a pretty cohesive umbrella. And so I find a lot like, although I'm a terrible driver, I really am. But when I'm on long distance, like road trip, when I have to drive myself, I have so many ideas. That when I'm modeling, I think it's just like me trying to like keep my brain moving so I don't like zone out. I'm always
You're
just
still
like,
in that moment. It's like coming up with ideas in the shower because you're not like consuming. These are moments you're usually not consuming as many things.
And it sucked because like I have to like say it over and over and over in my mind, because I'm like my hands are not. It sucks because like when these happen, I'm usually like when I'm driving, I'm it's from either Asheville or North Carolina or vice versa, and I can't like pull over on the side of the road. So I have to just like sometimes I'll just use my voice memos and like kind of illegally be on my phone, so that way I can get it out.
I'm big on the voice memos in my car because my phone is connected to the CarPlay for the directions.
Okay, so, bougie.
I'm big on that.
We out here. But yeah, I'll either do that or I'll just like remember, I'll try to just repeat it in my head until I can't stop. And then I'm like, okay. But I will say, like, it's been very interesting. A lot of I find that like my ideas, I worked in a vacuum for a minute during 2022. And although I created good work, I don't think that it was as conducive as it would have been if I was taking in more information and more research, because I saw that when I started doing that, the work seemed to flow a lot more easier. And I think at one point I was just kind of creating in a vacuum because I really didn't think I was going to find anything that was going to really inspire the work directly that I was like doing. Because sometimes when I'm doing work, if it's not like an exact way of thinking, I'm just kind of like, whatever, I don't care. Because there are sometimes where like, especially now that like I'm starting to creep into like my more sexual work, I was kind of looking for artists that kind of had similar ideas as me, and I was of doing it in a very artistic and like, I don't want to say, yeah, I guess tasteful way of just being very explicitly sexual. And like at the time, I hadn't really found anyone, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna figure it out on my own. Versus like me going to the High Museum quite frequently because I get in for free because my dad's a veteran. Shout out to him.
Shout out
And
to the
then like,
vets.
and then also like me Instagram honestly is my best friend. Although it's quite addicting, it really is because like I'm always like finding different artists, and I'm always like I save a lot of like my save category on my art page. I have it broken down to paintings, installation,
Mm.
galleries to check into, printmaking, photography, and then I think a few other categories. And I'm always saving things in my painting catalog, and then I'll go back and look at them when I need like more inspiration. And then also like photography is very big. So like I'll look back at my photography folder because like there are a lot of good painters out here that I like. Dorian Lindbergh was I reached out. He had a piece at the High Museum, and me and him were able to have a cute little like back and forth dialogue, and we still do. And like he gave me the courage to do the piece that I'm doing now. This little like what is it? She's me going down on myself. And I remember,
Well, I
I
think
think
that
I'm,
people need to know the context of your work.
I'm so
So
sorry.
now I want to rewind just a little bit and talk about your last solo exhibition, Sologamy, because it would give
Sologamy.
Sologamy, thank you, because it
You're
would give
welcome.
people the context for for the
Yes.
piece that you're about to talk about. Like, how did you come up with the inspiration for that last exhibition, and even if you can share a bit about your signature color, because I'm hearing you talk about like what inspires you, but when I see your work, I'm like, your work is just unlike anything I've seen, and you have your own
Thank you.
signatures too. You have the color, that signature red that I've come to know you for, and then you have like your focus on like this really interesting take on self-portraiture.
Thank you. So it all kind of started in 2020 because it's like the double self portrait actually came from a music video that I watched.
Mm.
And it's Shampoo by Isla, I want to say. And like basically like it's about this girl like in the music video, like, it just shows this chick who's just like in these very like kind of like I don't want to say suicidal, but kind of like she's really going through it. She's really going
Right.
through it. And then in the end, like she kind of like tries to take her own life. And like it's crazy because like I when I watched it, I was like, this is a really dark music video. But in the end, like her other like herself, like it's two forms of herself kind of break off, and she like cuts down the rope and she's like holding herself. And I was like, that's a really interesting concept, like the idea of like cutting yourself down from the rope and while breaking yourself down from the ledge and like nursing yourself back to health and like seeing that as a physical form of two people instead of just like the internalness of that battle. And then I was working with that, and I ran to my therapist, and I was telling him I want to do a piece. I want to start working about like, loving myself and dating myself through pieces. And he was like, Autumn, you don't love yourself. So I was like, he was like, you should make
Oh,
work about, yeah. He was like, you should make work about that because that's more authentic to yourself. And I was like, okay, right, David, shout out to David. I was like, you're right. So my first body of work was mostly blue. It had red, like it had a lot of red in it because red is my signature color. But it did have a few like blue pieces where either blue was the accent or blue is like the main focus because I was kind of experimenting with other colors. But for me, red, I started doing red in 2019. And it's just something so beautiful about it. Like it's just something so striking. And I love
it's
how
like
you're
your name
able.
is Autumn, your hair is
Yes,
red. It's a
yes.
brand. It's strong.
It is. Honestly, like the hair choice was kind of like one, I've always liked it, and two, it is kind of I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of a branding thing where like I like even if I'm not wearing red, I still have red on me, and I feel like it makes me a little bit more memorable. So I'm
Mm.
doing my eyebrows next, and also like now it's just become something where like I don't think I ever feel comfortable not having red hair. Like even like my own I need to dye my roots because my natural hair is also red. So we're out here. But yeah, and like I love the beautiful connotations, especially like the way I paint and like I can change the subtext of the work and the addedness of red can change as well with it. And it's still able to like work cohesively with it, which I've always thought was very interesting. And that body of work was called Hopeful Gaze to Look and Smile. But really, I should have named it Love Me the Way You Want Him to, because that was kind of the running theme of like of like my other self looking at me like simping and falling for these men and chasing after these men who didn't want me. They didn't want me. And she's like, what are you doing? Like, love me the way you want these men to. And then Salagi me came from like me like thinking like, okay, we did that. We've kind of given up on the guy. What would it be like if I truly just sat down and said, can we curse on here?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. If I just said like, fuck it, you know what? Let's go on a date, Autumn. Like, let's see what it's like. Let's just see what happens from this. Let's go on a first date. Let's have this bougie over the top picnic and like see if there's a spark. And that's where the casual moment in Eden came from. And like I remember having this idea of because I usually use text in my work, and that still life that I created, I was gonna put a whole bunch of text over it, and like that was just like the base of the piece. And I remember hating painting that so much because still lifes to me are very boring. I was trained in undergrad to kind of hate them. Michael Brown, shout out to you as well. You made still lives, you always critiqued them like crazy. He always wanted them to be very interesting if we were going to do them. And for that to be such a classical still life for me to paint was so hard. And I was really trying to push the subtle sexiness and the way I was painting fruit and the color choices that I was using and how the red was kind of creeping into the traditional colors of the fruit to kind of make it more interesting visually and also cohesive to the body of work that I knew I was doing because that was the first piece of everything. And then when I finally got into the casual moment of Eden, like that's when everything was like rolling through. It took me like 3 months because I was working in bridal at the time and that job was kicking my butt. But I remember like when I first kind of like got halfway through, I was like, damn, this is gonna be a really good piece. And by that time it already sold to a friend. My friend Rose had bought it like before when it was like 25% done. She saw the vision and shout out to her. I respect it. But yeah, I that was the minute. And then when I quit when I was in my job working in bridal as a
So you
single
do
woman.
art part-time. Like,
I
do
did
you
at the
make
time.
okay.
I did in 2020 for most of 2022. I did art part-time. And then I had my little like regular job and I worked in bridal. And it was very interesting being surrounded by women who were in either happy, loving relationships
Oh.
or had settled. And it was very obvious of who was who. And then also like when you're single and you work in that, it's very difficult because people always go, you don't have anyone? Oh, you're gonna find somebody one day. You don't have a husband? Oh. And I was just kind of like, oh, thank you so much, ma'am. I
And you were
appreciate
working on
that.
these pieces around that time.
Uh-huh. And so I hadn't had a name for it yet. And I was thinking one day and I was on my way home, I was like, you know what? What is it like I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna date myself. Like freak it. My work is about it. Like I take myself out on dates. Like is it legal for you to marry yourself? Like I was like, is it, you know what? Because they up here, everyone's up here looking at me like, when are you gonna find the guy? Like I've already kind of found myself. I think I'm kind of Gucci right now. And so I honestly didn't think it was a thing, but I was like, maybe do some research and figure out like, can you date yourself and can you marry yourself? And I found out that you can. Sologamy is the real thing in a few states, and I think in a few countries as well. You
Is
can
it
marry
illegal
yourself.
in Georgia?
No, we in the South. It's up north.
Uh,
It's up north.
got you.
But I know I was trying to figure out for the tax breaks this year if I did it, how'd that work out? He didn't know. But yeah, and so that's kind of where the name hit. And it really stuck with me because I do a lot of self-portraits. And like one could argue that I could hire a model, but I'm very bad at expressing my ideas. Like, even with you, like I feel like you're able to get it, but I still have a hard time like truly like help like getting you to my exact mindset because I have a very hard time like vocalizing exactly what I want to put on the canvas. And so I know if I had a model, it would have to be her interpretation. And I don't kind of quite trust anyone quite yet to fully take on the piece like that. I don't mind having a model assistant, but to fully take on the piece, I don't quite trust yet. And then plus with me having a model background, it just made sense. But when I was an undergrad, I had someone ask, they were saying like, it does come off quite narcissistic that you're in all your pieces. Like you are the main character in all your pieces.
How did that make you feel when they said that?
Oh, I was like, that's a reach. Interesting. And I told them the same thing I told you, and they were like, yeah, but like you're in every piece that you do, and you're always naked in one of them. Like it's like you're just like trying to show off your body. And I'm just kind of like, And they were saying like it's hard to critique your work because I feel like I'm critiquing your body. And I'm like, those are two different things, and that's in your head, but whatever. And so when I read the definition of philogamy, I really liked it because it was saying to date and marry oneself, like this union of love and self-love, and like it's also can like be this like true personification of like declaration of self-love. But and that was like definition 2. Definition 3 says one could argue that it also is the personification of narcissism to date yourself and to be completely infatuated with yourself. And I just thought back to that person who told me that, and I was like, one could argue like this body of work is just about like me thinking that I'm like the shit and I don't smell my own shit and I'm just obsessed with myself. And although that's not what this body of work is about, depending on how you chose to see it, you could. And so that's kind of, it's like, well, that name kind of solidified itself with me.
I am curious about this concept of duality. Like there's obviously the visual duality in your work, but in this part of the conversation, I think about a duality between the body of work and your actual body and like who you are, and comments like that. Like, did you ever, or have you ever had any hesitations about presenting yourself for public consumption in this way?
No. I've always been very comfortable with my sexuality and my nudity for the most part. There are some pieces where like the subject matter was a little risque and the nudity didn't bother me, but it was the subject matter where I was like, this may offend some people. And I was like when I was a little bit younger, I did have some shock value. I get slightly offended now when people consider my current work shock value, because it's not really meant to shock anyone. I mean, sometimes it is.
I didn't get it like that either.
Thank you. I think this current piece, I've been told that it had a little bit of shock value to it. And I was like, okay, whatever, men. No offense. But what was the question again? I have ADHD.
Just the difference between like any hesitations you might have had of like, putting yourself out there.
Oh yeah, no, I think for the most part, I just kind of had a deep, weird feeling that like this was going to resonate with people. And so like that was just the drive to be like, okay, I need to just keep going. And I was like showing like family, friends. There definitely was one piece that I was a little hesitant about, and that was like the butt piece. Like I was a little nervous about that because like when I was working on it, I was just like, is this like too overtly sexual? Like I like this photo, but like my mindset doesn't matter because I could have like a full frontal like naked woman in my room and that wouldn't make any difference for me. But like for my work, for this series of work, is this too risque? And like
why doesn't your mindset matter as the artist when you
because I feel like sometimes it's a fair question. I feel like sometimes my mindset is so open that when I'm creating my body of work, although it is like limitless, I have like a certain fine-tuned curation of it that I prefer for it to be kind of live on the umbrella.
Because you're thinking about an audience.
And I'm thinking about how it lived in that world, and I'm like, you don't really care, but for this world that you're creating, is that too outside? Is it too outlandish? And I'm slowly expanding the world, but I'm trying to make sure that like I kind of do it in a more gradual way, so that way I can kind of hold your hand as I slowly undress myself instead of me just showing up butt naked and you being like, what the hell is going on here?
What do you think about the idea of like think of the audience, your body of work living in someone's home? Like,
I luckily for me, like being a figure model, kind of really you know, that kind of got that out the way. I've always loved the idea of people having me in their house. I've always loved the idea of me going to someone's house and like finding out that like they were like either a collector or a buyer from like a drawing that I either posed for or a piece that I did. I just thought that'd be really cool to be like, oh my God, you own me. Like like a little bit like, oh my God, like I'm on your wall. And now like that butt piece is really funny because like when I was doing that piece, I was just kind of like, this is a lot of butt. Like, oh God, like this is gonna like, and I did like, I took a crap ton of reference photos for it and like different outfits. And like I had one, I think I showed you, the first one was gonna be like full ass, like full crack. And I just kind of like, one, there was a weird angle to it to the foot. I just kept feeling like it was a bit much. And then I remembered I once heard in a movie, like I once heard like in like a movie interview that like the thing that separates rated R movies from PG-13 movies is ass crack.
Oh, really?
hmm Like when they're having an intimate scene, if they show like half a cheek with like kind of the essence of the other one,
Yeah.
it's not seen as overtly sexual than just to see like a full ass. And like I thought I did some research and I'm like, that's an actual thing. And so I had one piece that was kind of more tasteful, like side butt and like a little bit of like the like reference of the other's cheek. And I felt that also the composition of that was stronger. And I felt like that wasn't as much of like a quote unquote like shock value because I didn't want the main focus to be the butt. It's a nice butt, but I wanted like the main focus to be like me interacting with myself in the mirror. And it's funny though, because when I first made that piece, I was not sure if it was going to go over that well. And I've made prints of that piece and I've had so many women buy that piece and they're absolutely in love with it. And like it makes me wonder, like, one, where those prints are gonna go, and two, when this piece actually sells, who is the buyer for it? If it's a man or a woman, which like depending on that person, I feel like it really does kind of change like how they may view the piece. Like I find it very interesting. Like a woman buying this piece, I'm just kind of like, oh, bet, okay. But like a cis straight man buying this piece, I feel like it kind of changes it a little bit
The
versus
intention
just
and the
like,
energy.
yeah, especially, that compared to someone in like the LGBT community, like I just feel like it's just slightly different. But back to my philogamy show, we met at my show in December, but I took that show back up to Asheville at my hometown for, I want to say like April through March. No, March to April. And it was crazy because opening night, it rained in December and it rained in Asheville. Who would have thought? And like I met Asheville, like I said, it's a very progressive, crazy, liberal town. And I met two people who had known someone who had married themselves. I had
Oh,
one
wow.
guy, I had met one guy who like he came up to me, he loved the work. And he was like, yeah, like my best friend back in the day, she married herself in like a civil ceremony. And I'm like, that's freaking amazing. And I was like, I've never heard anyone who did it. And he was like, I've never seen anyone actually like show that that's a thing. But yeah. And then I met this one lady who came with her mom, and she was like, oh yeah, my mom. She was saying how much she loved the work, and she was saying how her mom got married in the 70s beside the Grand Canyon, like just like
Oh, wow.
yeah, like in this little civil ceremony, and like she gave herself a moon ring, and her mom was there, and I was just, and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And she was like, I did so many things in my life. I honestly don't remember that, but I bet I did it, and I bet it was awesome. And I was like, I want to be you when I grow up, because Sologamy wasn't even top on your list
Yeah.
of things you've done, but like that's when I was kind of like, oh my God, like people really. That's what I know with the thing, but I was not expecting to see someone who's actually lived that life and actually like, or talk to someone who's had that true process of it all. But yeah, I feel like I try to live that as I try to have my work to be as authentic to my life as possible. It is harder sometimes because I feel like a lot of artists are able to separate their love life from their work because like it's two separate things. But for me, it's so difficult because like my work is about my love life and about like my mental connection to all of this and how I'm feeling about all of this and trying to set healthy boundaries for myself. And so like when I'm dating, I'm always just kind of like, okay, how do I fit this in? And
It's
it
kind of
like,
like a
that's what,
comedian.
huh?
Comedians, like they talk a lot about their lives, and sometimes when they date someone, that person's like, "Are you going to include me in your
Yes.
show?"
It's funny you say that because I love stand up. I love stand up comedy, and I met this man recently inside like when I was breaking in my work on this to this show, and I thought he worked there, and he did. He was a stand up comedian, and he thought I was hitting on him when I wasn't, and he was like, and he was after he we were wrapping up the conversation, and he was like, "I'm gonna put you in my bit for tomorrow because this was a funny interaction," and I was like. Okay, well, I want my $5 royalty check then, sir, because you're welcome.
Mm.
But yeah, I kind of feel like Taylor Swift a little bit because I'm like I'm probably gonna make a painting about you, and I have made a painting about an ex-boyfriend because I was just like, and he lives internally on that wall, and it's ironic because he's the least favorite piece out of all my work, and I'm like,
Oh, is it the one I'm thinking about?
the Green Man.
Green Man. Yep, yep.
hmm
Yes, you
I
did tell me
found
about it.
I found a voicemail of him on my phone from a long time ago, and I'm just like, oh wow, like last night, and I was like, oh wow, time flies. Wow.
What
I
are
was I
some
was
things outside of art that you do to practice self-love or self-care and self-preservation? I'm also curious about that side of you as well.
so I need to be better at it because I've kind of slipped off the wagon because I've been consumed in work. But I really do like I try to take myself out on dates. I try to like pamper myself. Like I love like watching movies, especially like projecting them in my room and just kind of
Mm.
like letting myself be able to like indulge in that.
Mm.
And then like, going to my favorite restaurant by myself. Like every year for my birthday, I buy myself a tattoo or I get a tattoo from a friend. And then I take myself out to dinner and like we just
Ooh.
drink and we have a good time and we dress up super sexy. And like we
Oh,
have like
we as in you and yourself.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
look good. We look cute. Last birthday, I went to Noni's and I got scammed. That was a bad birthday. But I was dressed super freaking hot. Like I remember just being like titties were out. I had just got like a new tattoo like the day before. I just quit my job and like it was great. The year before that, I was an undergrad and I got like the tattoo between my boobs and I took myself out to some little cute little place in Five Points. And I don't really like big celebratory things, but I
Mm.
really have been slowly getting into like celebrating myself and having that intimate moment with myself. And yeah, I still have a long way to go because I still have some practices in myself that are kind of self-sabotaging. But hopefully with my journey with my new therapist, I'm going to be able to work through those bad boys. But yeah, I try as hard as I possibly can to really love myself and give myself a lot of grace. Because there's sometimes I'll be really angry at myself for like because I have ADHD. Um, really angry at myself for like doing certain things, and I'm kind of like, no, that's just like how you are, Autumn.
Mm.
Like you really
Mm.
can't like break those like you could try your hardest to like change yourself, but like at the end of the day, it is what it is.
When
And
do you feel
I
most like yourself?
That's a good question. I think I feel most like myself. Oh, that's a really good question. I feel like that's kind of a hard question because I also have a very hard time of like changing myself to fit to different crowds. But I think I feel most like myself. This is gonna sound very anti-monogamous, but like when I'm like with my partner, like when
Mm.
I'm dating someone and I'm truly in love with this person, and like I am out and we're like laying in bed and I'm able to truly be myself unapologetically and I'm able to see the love reflected in their eyes and I can kind of see how comfortable I feel in my skin with that. That's one way I feel the most like comfortable with myself. And then I feel the most like myself. And then also there's sometimes like when I go to a show or I'll go to like an exhibition and I'm just kind of like I'm truly letting myself like relax and like be enveloped in the moment. And I'm able to like fully just kind of really appreciate the fact that like I'm an artist and I'm able to live this life. And like when I'm at Mint, sometimes like it really does hit me and I'm able to really kind of like be myself without really having to worry about other people really
Mm.
judge me because I built my little art world.
Mm. So you feel free. Do you feel
Yes,
free?
oh yeah, I walk around barefooted. I get judged for it. I walk around barefooted. I feel like everyone there sees me naked because I'm just changing in my studio all the time. And like, yeah, I do feel very free there. And she's also been quite home. So I probably shouldn't say this, but I have like crashed there one a few times too. So
Mm.
like she's my little safe haven. She's the place where like, I know that like once my door is closed, no one's gonna bother me, and I'm able to do whatever the hell I want to do in there. And I also know that like when my door's open, I don't have any negativity there. Like I know that no matter what I say, no matter what I do, the people are there know me and they know how my brain works, and they're always going to be quite receptive to that, which is quite nice. Oh yeah.
Well, before I ask this question that I'm curious about your thoughts on, I do want to ask what freedom means to you.
Yeah, so some real deep questions, baby. And
I
okay.
know it's a little early for this, but I know, but that's the whole point.
Oh yeah. I think freedom, especially in the world in which we live, is one could
That's gonna
argue.
be the next question too, so you can just wrap that up in the same answer.
Okay, I was just gonna say, like, in the world in which we live, we really. I have a friend who is his name is Mohammed El and he is one of the biggest Palestinian protesters right now. He's amazing, and I just look at him going back home to fight for his liberties and fight for and really fight for a voice to give the Palestinian people and make sure that their narrative is still very much heard, and like how that has been such a fight in every word, every like expression of the word. He has like been arrested for what he's done. He has been, people in his life have been jailed and stuff like he really has like kind of become public enemy number one from like certain countries because they don't like what he's saying. But at the same time, like this man, the fact that he has such a strong need and amount of courage to be able to say what he feels is right, which is, and I just think about in this country, like we don't really have that. Like I can make a painting about whatever I want and it could offend so many people. And I don't have to worry about my safety. I don't I mean, we do live in like some crazy times and stuff. But for the most part, like I look at that and I'm just like, part of me it truly does go like, damn, like we do have, I hate to quote like, what is it, like the Second Amendment? No, like the Fifth Amendment or whatever, like whatever, like the right, no, the First Amendment, like the right to free speech or whatever. Forget
Free
what it
speech,
is.
First Amendment.
Yeah, there we go. And I look at our work and like I just find that like no matter what you say about my work or no matter what you say about what I create, that's your opinion. No one really has the right to like tell me what I can and cannot do at this point in my life. Like it just, my parents kind of cut me off a couple years ago, and I just really kind of live my life on my own terms, which is very beautiful. It was a blessing in disguise, and like the work that I create at this point in time, like I do like kind of live with family, so I feel like I have a lot of freedom of who I sell to because my bills are not as expensive. And so now, like, it's just kind of like I look at some people and like they may sell to a collector that like they're not the biggest like fan of, and they kind of feel like their hands in the lion's mouth because they're trying to like make ends meet. And I do kind of like sometimes think about that a little bit because I'm like these bills need to be paid. But for the most part, like I feel very blessed that like I'm very what's the word? Like I'm very critical of like who actually like receives me, who actually like is interested in buying my work. Like I like to know a lot about them. I like to know like if you're a flipper, I like to know like why you like this piece and how it resonate
Personal
with
pieces,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. Like this is gonna go in your house. I don't want this to go in a basement just because like you had to have it because you saw it, but you have no room for it. Like no, like I want this to be the piece which you take stuff off your wall and put that crap in storage because you want my work up there. And if that's not
you want you up there, it's
oh
your work is
yeah,
so symbolic in that way. Like, where do I fit in your world, in your life?
exactly. I love that analogy. But yeah, and so for me, and also with galleries, like I feel like my last gallery was my last show was like an actual like gallery. And I fought tooth and nail for what I wanted. I really did. I did not care what they said. There was slight compromises, but like I really was kind of like, this is the vision that I have, and you can either take it or leave it. And it felt very nice to kind of be like, you wanted me. So obviously you want this work and you're gonna have to listen to what I say. I'm not gonna be a diva or something like that to the point where like I feel like I am intolerable to work with. But at the same time, I feel like I definitely kind of had like this vibe of like, no, this is the vision. And before I used to be a very meek person. I still struggle with confrontation, but like I've learned to really just like not bite my tongue and just kind of like, because I know like if I don't advocate for myself, who is going to
Mm.
advocate for myself? And so yeah, it's been a very interesting little journey for myself. But like yeah, I feel very confident now of like if like a show, I know like so far I haven't really had any pushback from a gallery, but I do know that there might be a possibility that one day I might create a piece that's too risque. And I feel very confident now being like, okay, and then let's just take all the work down then. That's fine.
Mm.
You don't have to put that piece up. Just take it all work down. I can go home. There we go. And I think I feel like that kind of transfers into confidence in my work as well as
Mm.
confidence in the body of work as well as the freedom to feel like I can have that confidence.
Mm. I want to end with a rapid fire round. So these questions are like, they're going to be quick, but
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be fun. So let's
Heck
just
yeah.
jump right into it. What is your astrological big three, sun, moon, and rising?
I don't know. All I know is that I'm a Libra. Um, that's all I know. And someone at my job once found out, and I wish I would remember it, but I know I'm a Libra,
Okay.
and it's very true because I'm indecisive as hell. And also heard that like we're very big lovers, and I'm like that's also very fair.
I don't know as much about Libras. I know the scales. So, okay.
We
Are
out
you
here.
are you a extrovert, introvert, or ambivert?
Ooh, I've never heard of ambivert.
It's like a mixture of the two.
I think I'm an ambivert. Like I am someone who I'm definitely that introvert who wants to be invited to places just so she can cancel last minute. Um, I'm so sorry, Deb. I keep canceling on you. It's not I'm so sorry. But at the same time, like when I am out and I'm in my environment, I'm the life of the party. Like people, I find people do like me. I find that when I'm really comfortable, I'm out here and we're having a good time. And I love talking to people. I truly do. It's just kind of like at my own pace and
Mm.
at my own little. I'm not someone who has to be out every night. I do enjoy a nice bottle of wine. Like if people are smoking at parties, I'm like, can I just have my weed and my alcohol to go at my house without all of you people? That would be great. I don't want y'all.
This is a funny question to ask to you specifically, but I'll ask you anyway. What color have you been drawn to lately?
um, Actually, I'm gonna say pinks. Like my pinks have really
Okay.
been kind of peeking out right now, which I've been exploring. And yeah, I think my pinks right now are been my little fun little wild card. Oh, because although I do love my red, I'm trying to break it up so it's not getting so boring. I guess that's the right word.
What do you do for fun?
It used to be sex, but that's kind of off the table right now because I'm single again. So now I think I'm digging back into cinema and television. I love watching
Mm.
it's one show I will watch until the day I die, and it's called Fleabag. Love that show. And then also like I also like to sew. It's like one of my little secret hobbies that not a lot of people know.
What do you collect?
I'm a hoarder. Um so I have ADHD, so I am someone who goes through tons of hobbies and different interests. So I have like my all of my sewing kits in one closet and like in my closet beside my tattoo kits and
Mm.
tattoo supplies in the other closet and like my like jewelry collection that I've
Oh,
like
I
tried
see what you're
taking in the
saying.
other thing. And so like those are I like to think I collect interests and then they usually
Mm.
kind of fall by the wayside. And tattooing, I really do want to finish one day. I think the only reason it's holding me back is such I don't like hurting people and it's like a procedure
Mm.
and I feel bad like actually putting a needle to someone's skin. That's the only thing that's like making me and also pain takes a lot of time out of my schedule. But that's kind of the biggest thing. Also, figure modeling is something I also truly really enjoy. I love it. Like money's great. Back to that question. Freaking still love it. I love being naked in
Mm.
front of people. I love being able to be part of someone else's art without actually having to like truly be that I happen to create it.
Mhm.
Fun.
What are you reading?
So about that. So I had a whole list of books this year I was gonna read. I've
It's so
read
funny everyone
one.
goes straight to books when I ask that
Mm-hmm.
question. There's a lot of other
Yeah,
things one can read,
that's
magazines,
fair.
websites.
That's fair. I've, I guess I do go to books because I really wanted to read books and use that as a direction in my work.
Mm.
I'm still in the middle of reading curatorial activism, but I don't really read a lot of things, and I kind of feel bad about it. Like unless
Don't
I'm
feel
like
bad about
looking
it.
up like, you know, yeah.
I think people hold a lot of shame about it, but I'll be the first to say no one should feel bad about it. And this is from
I
someone that has to read a lot of books for a living.
I feel like I absorb a lot of my information from visual media,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is I feel like how a lot of people do because we just kind of like we're so absorbed with so many other
Yeah.
things, and we could
Well,
much
what are
rather
you
put
watching then?
a lot of true crime, a
Oh,
lot of true crime, and then also again I rewatched Fleabag quite a few times, and then I also Malcolm and Marie. I'm always watching that movie. It is such a
interesting.
beautiful movie. When I first watched it for the first time, I have a sister who works in film, and I texted her and I'm like, I want to make movies one day. Like I really want to
Mm.
make movies one day. I don't know how it's gonna happen and how it's gonna work out because I have a partner that I'm like seeing ish who's an actor, and I'm just kind of like, I want to put you in a movie. I want us to do a movie together. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I want it to be like this kind of like three's company, probably between me, myself, and you. But yeah, that is I watch a lot. What else do I look at? There's a few. I watch Call Me by Your Name religiously for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I love a good like rom-com and a true like visually stunning movie.
Mm.
And so there are a few movies that I just kind of, oh, also Inception and Tenet are great little things for me to go back to.
Mm. What are you listening to?
Oh, okay. So there's like three main singers that I've been listening to. I went to see Sabrina Claudia in concert, and
Mm.
I beautiful. I was lonely as heck because everyone was like singing or holding their boo. I was by myself. That Philosophy night was not a success. I'm not even gonna lie.
Oh,
But I love her, Jessie Reyes, and then Jordan Smith, and then Olivia O'Brien. No, Olivia Dean, I'm sorry. Olivia Dean has this song, and it's kind of slowly starting to fade out of my discography, but I recommend everyone listen to it. It's called Be My
mm.
Own Boyfriend. And it's such a good song. And honestly, I really feel like it's like the theme song to all of my work. It's so beautiful. And then also Billie Eilish and Labyrinth just put out a song called So Lonely. And then also Billie Eilish, she has a song called Haley's Comet. Beautiful song. And then also a good Adele. There's every Adele album that you gotta
Mm.
love her. But yeah, I like a good little toss up.
You love an emotional song.
Oh yeah, I was listening to one song. It was My Little Love, and it's just and like her talking to her kid, and then like it's like the end is like a video. It's a voicemail of her just like bawling to her friend, and like just talking about how depressed she is and like how she's really going through it. And my best friend was sitting in the car with me because we were going thrift shopping, and she was like, "Why are you listening to this? This is such a sad song." And I'm like, "It's so beautiful." And she was like, "It's such a sad song for today. This is your hype girl music." And I'm like, yeah, man, this is such a beautiful feel. And it wasn't until like I was like dating this my last partner. And like I was trying to I was going to my playlist and I didn't want anything crazy depressing. And I kept pushing skip. I'm like, that's too sad. That's too sad. I'm like, damn, Autumn, you really don't
Some
have
self
any like
reflection.
yeah, I'm like, you really don't have any like cute like I have this one song. It's called "Learn to what is the? It's called I love to. I've learned to love to say goodbye. Like that's just like yeah. Like it's just so yeah.
Do you have any favorite apps or websites?
So Instagram is my little dirty habit because we're always on it, and I think that is a big thing, and I feel very embarrassed about that. But also, I'm a little secret Pinterest woman. I really
Mm.
am. I've had a Pinterest board since I was like 13 because I am a closeted white woman who's like 40 years old. Apparently, I love Pinterest. I find only thing about it is that I hate that they don't really give you links to a lot of like the actual articles of it, but all
No.
my best like sewing ideas, my future wedding ideas on it. Like, the I still go back to look at some of the artists I was interested in back in the day, and it's so crazy how like I'm just like I've changed so much. And some of the artists I was interested in back in the day I actually have like a back and forth dialogue with, which is
Wow.
insane. Like there's one lady named Jen Man who like her number's in my phone, and like we have a dialogue, and she's had a baby, and like I did like school projects on her when I was in the high school, and I'm just like, what
And
is
now
my
you
life?
are colleagues in the same
Mm-hmm.
industry.
Mm-hmm.
Who is
So yeah.
someone more people should be following on social media since you're big on Instagram?
I love how my brain is going straight to Jules Ham, but I feel like she really had a strong following already. But I'm trying to think right now. And it's probably gonna come to me after I'm probably gonna be like, oh no. But Jules, I freaking love her. Like I want all the success for her in the world. She's another fellow red female painter.
Mm.
And
You
like
said
if you like
Jules
my
Ham? I want to
yeah,
make sure we got it right. Okay.
Han or Ham. If you look up Jules, I'm pretty sure her Instagram is just Jules, and you will find her. And I love her work. If you like my work, if you love the idea of like the reds and like, you know, the idea of like femininity and them playing around with each other, you're gonna love her work. I think you're absolutely beautiful. Um, Also, I think my little secret loves of art. It's this one, actually, can I leave out of here real quick
Mhm.
and find this one artist really, really quickly? She's saved on my phone, and her name is, okay, it's Sarah Baha. So like Sarah
Oh,
B-A,
I know who you're
yeah,
talking about. She does the
yeah,
whole series photography of
yes.
like love and relationships. Yeah.
Yes, I used to do a lot of subtitles in my work, and
Yes.
like her work is so beautiful. The way she captures intimacy, chef's kiss. Like I find myself constantly taking screenshots of her work, and I'm like, I want to like do my own rendition of this.
Mm.
I love to give people credit, but I want to give my own little rendition of this. Like I've seen a few of her bathtub scenes and a few of her picnic scenes, and
You do
she's
have a
not gonna
picnic scene of your own.
I know. And that's how, you know, if I would not be surprised if that was loosely, subconsciously inspired by one of her
Mm.
pieces, because it's just so beautiful. And looking at her work makes me wish I stayed in subtext with subtitles. I know that my pieces are so strong that that it would make sense anymore. But I'm just like, damn, the way she does it, beautiful.
Thank you so much for sharing your time and morning with me since that's when we're
Can I say one
talking.
more thing before we
Of
go?
course you can.
Okay, so I'm kind of in this interesting situation in my love life, but I'm kind of taking some time off from a person that I very deeply care about. But when I'm back and ready to be able to be with them, I actually have been planning on this idea because right now I really want to be able to focus on my Lust Antagony series, and I felt like I wasn't going to be able to focus on that being in this healthy relationship. So I wanted to take
Hmm.
some time off and really kind of be able to dig into that mindset without having it affect my time with him. But like once that's done, I plan on going back and leveling into his arms. And I've always had this idea. I didn't think it was gonna come so soon of like, okay, the Lust Antagonist series was me kind of like cheating on myself with a
Hmm.
man. What does it look like when I am truly in love with someone and it is in a healthy situation? And she actually looks at this and she's like, okay, like we
Hmm.
can bring him into our little love, our little world and
What
like
color
have
is
this little.
that?
So I've been playing around with it. He likes blue. And I have been really, when I look at him, he kind of gives me like orange dreamsicle vibes, like orange little creamsicle. I'm thinking about like the orange, like bright orangey pinks and yellows. I'm still
Mm.
experimenting. He's worried about it clashing too much with my red and pink, and I'm kind of feel like that's kind of kind of like the point. Like we're living in this like
Supposed
like
to
this
come
kind of
together, right? Because
yeah.
the other guy was
It's
green
like
and
the
that's like a opposite, right?
yeah. I feel like that'll be really interesting to have like this idea of like the three of us living in like this kind of philogamous polyamorous relationship because like
Mm.
she's still in the picture, and like how does that like look, us having these intimate moments and us being sexual with each other, because like I think I have this idea of like this menage a trois that I ran
Mm.
by him before we had to like go our separate ways, and he's very excited for the comeback for that piece.
Mm.
And then just like I have this idea before I let you go of like this like for some reason there's always a lot of religious like subtle like little tithes in my work, probably because I was
Mm-hmm.
raised up Baptist. And I have this vision of like this Last Supper and like me in the middle, and then like them on either side of me, like with this luscious table, and like she's pouring him wine, and I'm just kind of breaking the like fourth wall by just looking at the audience and just having this kind of like happy, reluctant, this happy, graceful moment with the two of them. And I'm very excited. I'm still trying to find the right like props for all of that, but I'm very excited to figure out how
Ooh.
to incorporate him in this happy world of my little throuple. I'm thinking
I
very
w-
much Hmm?
well, that makes me think. Um, if you're thinking about your pieces as like a narrative or a story, and you had it's like a rom-com, and even
Yeah, a little
like
bit
you
like a
had like
movie. Yeah.
yeah, like there's like the green era, but then there's like the self-love era. But usually in a rom-com, the happily ever after is when they meet that person and they're like, oh, look at us now. Is that how you want the story to
No,
end?
I feel like my work is kind of non-linear because I feel like I'm
Right,
probably
okay.
still gonna go back to like I feel like once this Lust Antagony series is done, it's gonna be probably stuck a pin in it. Um, so that's probably I may come back to it later, but I feel like this is gonna kind of be like the end of that for currently right now because I really, really, really like this person, and I hope I don't
Mm,
have to really go back into. I hope he is not. I don't think he will ever be a part of. I don't think he. I think he will. I think he's gonna be the end of my little men that have hurt me because I feel very confident in myself.
mm.
I feel very confident in myself as a woman, and I feel very confident in my love for him. But yeah, I feel like from here on out, it's gonna be about like me living, hopefully, very happy with this person and this little throuple, and then also going back to the idea of marrying myself. I have this
Right.
idea of like actually pursuing that, and I might one day, as like a interactive like piece, like or as a
Oh,
performance piece, actually
yeah.
like
Invite
have
everyone
that
to the
act.
wedding on
Yeah,
Pinterest.
legit. Like that. Like I'm thinking about actually like having. It would be really cool if he officiated it.
Ooh. Well, I'll be waiting
Like
for my invitation in the mail.
and it's funny because I'm planning a show. I'm not quite sure when. I'm super excited. I'm playing a lot of like reflections, and I have this idea of me in like white lingerie with like a veil. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not quite sure what the dress will be. I've tried on so many wedding dresses for work, but the name of the show is called Ever Thine, Ever Mine, Ever Yours, which I've always heard. I've heard it in vows before, and I felt that that'd be a beautiful little tie back
That's a
to
nice name.
everything. Thank you. Salah, and I think Salah was still going to be the title, like the main title, but I like that.
Like
I
a
like that
subtitle.
as yeah, as a tagline because I like the idea of still the work kind of being under that title, but also being able to play with like the different themes of it all.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with artist Autumn Nelson. One aspect of Autumn's artistic practice that fascinates me is her focus on herself as the primary protagonist in her work. As you may recall, my last guest, Ariel Danielle, talked about her own shift from self portraiture to group portraiture. So it stood out to me how much self portraiture remains so integral to Autumn's artistic approach, at least at this point in her life. Autumn's approach makes me think about the work of artist Carrie Mae Reeves. For decades, Reeves has employed mediums such as photography, video, performance, installation, and social practice to explore what it means to bear witness to history. My mind travels back to a conversation that Carrie Mae Reeves had with Deborah Willis, who is an artist, author, and my former professor at NYU, where I had the opportunity to take her course called Black Body and the Lens. The conversation between these two icons was published in a book called To Make Their Own Way in the World: The Enduring Legacy of the Zili Daguerreotypes. In the excerpt that I'm recalling, Reams broaches the issue of consent in the relationship between maker and subject. She expresses her reticence towards the tradition of documentary photography, specifically her disinterest in the idea of capturing others on film. For her, consent and permission are necessary to partake in this art form. The quote I want to turn our attention to goes as follows: By way of this lack of consent, I earnestly began photographing myself and discovered myself to be both subject and maker, participant and observer, a subject slash maker slash marker who could stand in the historical moment and bear witness to the past, the present, and the public slash private memories that have given shape to our Black lives here in America. This next line in particular made me think of my conversation with Autumn. Here, Reams shares, I discovered an entirely new way of working and indeed discovered myself, praise God. Reams places herself in photographic compositions in an attempt to create in the work the simultaneous feeling of being in it and of it. She refers to herself in this context as an alter ego, muse, and witness to history who can stand in for both the artist and audience. Both Ariel and Autumn share that one of the main criticisms of self-portraiture is the assumption that the artist is too self-involved at best or narcissistic at worst. However, they, along with artists like Carrie Mae Weems, shows us that self-portraiture is not a selfish practice. Self-portraiture is a practice of self-discovery, where the artist is able to bear witness to their place in the world by positioning themselves as subject, maker, and marker. For Ariel, self-portraiture helped her to strengthen her connections with her friends. For Autumn, self-portraiture helped her to reconnect with herself, even as she pursues romantic relationships with others. Overall, self-portraiture can serve as a way for artists to explore duality by examining the public slash private memories that shape our collective worlds. I am Anuli Akanebu, and you have just listened to an episode of the Black in Real Life podcast. The program today was produced, edited, and hosted by Anuli Akanebu, with additional support from Anuli Akanebu. Many thanks to Garth, whose song Wild serves as the official theme song of the Black in Real Life podcast. Season 3 mashes up Wild with the song If I Ruled the World, Imagine That by Nas featuring Miss Lauryn Hill. For all things Black in Real Life, visit www.blkirl.com. And remember, as always, the people you follow online are also Black in real life.